Hello everyone. Let's pop this chat up. Hey guys. Welcome back to the live London session stream. And hopefully I'm being heard clearly. So you guys let me know if I'm being heard clearly, right? I'm playing some audio in the background right now too. So yeah, just want to make sure I'm getting heard loud and clear enough for you guys. And we're just gonna dive straight into it, right? I want to discuss some things that are happening in the market right now, at least from my perspective, to give you guys sort of the outlook that I have continuing this week and moving forward for probably the first quarter of this trading year. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about some important stuff, and yeah, hopefully you find this informational and you get some value out of it. All right. So yeah, let me know if I'm being heard clearly, please. Yeah, just let me know if I'm being heard clearly. All right, and yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it, right? So yeah, welcome to the London session, guys. And just to start off real quick, obviously we're looking at JPY. Now I have a few things going on in case of, in terms of the pound itself. I am looking to buy in this situation, currently looking for price to actually peak above this resistance area right here. So I want to see a close above this area, and once we do get a close it's within the zone or above, right? Once we have that bullish candle formation, I would actually look to get in long to get a swing to the upside, right? So something like this in particular looks good to me, around like that, maybe a 1 to 3 if we stretch it out a little bit more, something like this, just to be a little conservative. Once price does push to the upside, if we get close above this area right here, then you could enter to go long. I just think that around right here will be where I'll look to actually exit the trade as we run into more resistance in this bearish push down, right? So the reason why I'm looking to enter long on this, just to give you guys sort of a technical and fundamental background as to why I'm looking to get in long on this. All right, nicely. Right, so one of the things that I talked about in the previous video that I posted was the aftermath of CPI, right? Even though we did have good numbers for the US economy, we still saw a sort of dovishness on the dollar itself, and that is because of the fears of recession. Now markets, how they move is within expectancy, and it's a psychological thing, right? As we have inflation rising and we also have interest rates increasing to combat that, the cost of living has gone up significantly higher, right? As well as people are paying attention to unemployment numbers. If there's much or little change, it really does impact. So as we had it, even though we had the US data coming out good, the employment change, the jobless claims, the actual amount compared to the consensus that we had previously wasn't that much, right? So with that being said, we saw that dovishness on the US dollar still continue to kick in, because we have a sort of an uncertainty facing the economy, right? And as well, those recession fears. And as you know, when we have times of economic uncertainty and when things are looking sort of gloomy, investors tend to flee towards the safe haven pairs such as the CHF and the Japanese yen, as well as commodities such as gold, right? So we saw that very bullish move on the yen at the day itself, right? And as we continue towards the CPI data, that just it became sort of like a catalyst to see that move continue on, right? So we saw that move persisting and price keep on going to the downside across a lot of these JPY cross pairs, right? But as we're moving forward, I expect the markets to take this information, digest it, and kind of come up with a sort of the mindset of, okay, maybe the recession fear is still there, but as we stand now, as it currently stands, things are looking good. Even though if we do have a recession, it would be very mild, right? And looking at the pound itself, the new UK Prime Minister did promise, and I'll actually pull this up right here, he did make a sort of a statement saying that they expect to reduce inflation, cut it in half this year, right? That is a promise that he made towards the economy. They expect to cut inflation to half, improve the cost of living for the UK citizens. So I do expect that to come into play with the pound itself, giving it sort of a more of a bringing it into light of being more less dovish and give it some more for bullishness, right? So with that being said, again, expecting the yen to reverse off of those recession fears, and if we're looking at the technical levels, this is the area where I'll actually look to enter long, right? Once price does peak above this area, we get a close, a nice bullish close. We should see a continuation to the upside during the course of this week. So that is something that I would potentially hold. Once price does reach into this area, if it does, then I'll exit the trade and look for another new setup. Something like, okay, if we peak above this area here, then maybe we could correct all the way to the upside here. All right, but just for being safe, right, and being more conservative with this trade itself, I would actually come out right around this resistance zone, right? Because we never know what could happen. I could be totally wrong about my bias or my analysis on the current markets. Again, we are moving with fears, and it's hard to predict what may happen with that. We might continue dovishly, but we could also see some bullishness step into the market as things improve gradually, right? So that is something to take note of. So yeah, but this is the trade for the pound yen, right? So looking to see actual price close above. As you can see, we're sort of ranging right here, and price is pushing away from this resistance zone slightly. But unless we see like a clear move, bearish to the downside, then maybe I might actually change my bias to enter sells. Excuse me. But as for now, I just think that we could peak above and head even higher. So my only next time to actually take a possible sell continuations would be if price manages to push below this, right? Because if we do push below here, the last low price made over around here, right, the recent low, if we manage to push below this, then we could possibly target even lower, right, which would be these lows right around here where price rejected from. We could possibly see price retrace and come all the way back down here. Again, this depends on how apparent that bearishness is right now into the market, and whether or not we see those improvements being made, especially after the CPI data was good. So maybe we might actually see price reverse, take those numbers into consideration, and then see an improvement on the dollar itself. But yeah, this is the trade that we're waiting on right now. I'll actually set an alert right around here. Just add the alert. Honestly, once price is able to cross this, we'll enter the trade, and momentum should continue carrying us upwards. All right. The only other trade I am currently in, I'm still in this 80 JPY buy position that we got in the VIP group. Right. Yeah, so I'm still in this 80 JPY trade that we got in last night on the market open in the VIP group. It reached up to 2%, at which point I alerted members to actually manage the trade. So whether it's break-even stops or anything like that, then they'll come off for a small profit. But I'm just leaving it as is for now. I have risked 2% on this, looking to actually see price carry all the way up here to around 7% return. So 14% if we can get that. If not, then I just exit with a 2% loss, right? This week we entered with a 6% risk overall, and I actually segmented it into different parts to help better manage risk, right? So yeah, one thing I like for you guys to know, something that happens a lot with new traders is that we get overconfident with our trades, whether we have wins, and if we have losses, we let that play out with our mentality, and we end up losing trades wrote back to back, right? And that could be detrimental to your account, whether you're funded or maybe it's your own personal account. It's good to it's good to show restraint, especially when it comes to trading, right? That is one of the best qualities you can have as a trader. Don't get overly confident, don't get cocky with your trades or anything like that. So this is how I've divided the risk that I'm allowing myself to have for this week. So the weekly risk, I'm just typing it out for you guys to have here. Weekly risk is 6%. Totaling with 2% risk for this trade. That is the trade that you currently are seeing, right? The next trade is a 1% risk, right? So that's 3%, and then 0.5% by, sorry, by 6, right? So 0.5% by 6, which would total to another 3%, right? And this is like the amount of trades I would take for the week, right? If things doesn't go my way, then I'll be able to manage my total risk amount while also allowing myself to have opportunities to recover from any previous losses and get some potential gains on the account itself, right? And this is a rule that you can follow as a funded trader as well, just segmenting those risks to overall better manage your trades and, you know, allow yourselves more opportunity in the markets while making a decent yield from those trades themselves, right? So this is just something that you could potentially use with your trading if you don't have like a risk management strategy for yourself, right? So the weekly risk is 6%. Totally with a 2% risk on my first trade. I'm just able to do this because last week we came out with, you know, positively. A 1% risk afterwards if this first trade doesn't work out, and then if that trade doesn't work out, we use 0.5% risk with a total of, you know, 6 possible trade setups that we could get into, right? And if things just go our way, then obviously we have a more of a buffer zone to actually take more riskier trades or get more potential gains, anything like that, right? But everything is with timing as well. So yeah, so we're just gonna wait to see what price does here. You see, price is kind of currently pulling back. We have 17 minutes until this candle does close. If we close above this area here, it's tricky to say really, right? Because obviously momentum can carry us either way. Maybe we might continue pushing up, or maybe price might just push down with the next candle. I will allow myself I'll allow myself, you know, to take this trade twice, right? If it does result in a loser firstly, then we obviously look to recover on the second trade and so forth. But yeah, I'm looking to buy once we do get close above this area. And if price does push us out with the next candle, then I'll actually look to continue with that buy bias, just because overall I'm very confident in my fundamental analysis itself. So I'll look to the market to just see when it starts reciprocating that, right? And we'll enter. Yeah, I'll just put a buy stop to actually enter once prices peak back up this area if we do get stopped, right? But this is the idea. So you guys can take this down. If you're now joining the stream, you could also take this down as well. You could put a buy stop if you want, but again, I'm just waiting to execute as price does close into that area, right? I think it's better to do that, especially when you don't know where volume may carry you. So yeah, that's just something to take note of. If anybody have any questions, anything they'd like to ask or look at, then please feel free to ask in the chat. Right? I should have to get a second monitor so I could watch so I could just watch the chat itself just pull it out, just pop up. I wish they made it in such a way that you could just like leave it in an open window at the side of your screen or something like that, just to like make it more convenient for streamers that just don't have like an adequate setup as yet, because two world country problems, right? But yeah, so hopefully you learn a thing or two as to what I'm looking at, and let me just actually take a look at what the new prime minister has announced here. So we're just gonna take a look at this, right? And this is just something that I like to include in my fundamental analysis as well, so I'm now actually taking a look at it myself. So yeah, you guys are seeing me real right now in the process of doing everything that I need to do when it comes to building my fundamental bias, as well as the technical setups I'll be looking forward to. All right. So actually, let me just pause the music that I'm listening to right now. I'll listen to lo-fi beats, guys.
So that doesn't have to mean a compulsory A-level in maths for everyone, but we will work with the sector to move towards all children studying some form of maths to 18. So I want to make 5 promises to you today, 5 pledges to deliver peace of mind, 5 foundations on which to build a better future for our children and grandchildren. First, we will halve inflation this year to ease the cost of living and give people financial security.
So he's making
Second,
big promises
we
at the
will
start.
grow the economy, creating better paid jobs and opportunity right across the country. Third, we will make sure our national debt is falling so that we can secure the future of public services. Fourth, NHS waiting lists will fall and people will get the care they need more quickly. Fifth, we will pass new laws to stop small boats, making sure that if you come to this country illegally, you are detained and swiftly removed.
Yikes.
So,
Even over positive note to like, yeah, don't enter the country illegally, bro. You're gonna get locked up.
reduce debt, cut waiting lists, and stop the boats. Those are the people's priorities. They are your government's priorities.
It's like everything was so positive, but coming to the end, then he was like,
No
nah.
ambiguity.
It's just like it just got dark real quick.
Or we're not. We will rebuild trust in politics through action, or not at all. So I ask you to judge us on the effort that we put in and the results that we achieve. Now these 5 promises
Hopefully you guys hearing this hearing this clearly, right?
too.
Actually,
But
that's
they're not
probably
the limit
what
of my ambitions for our country. They're the foundation. My aim is to build a
Right,
better
so you guys
future
heard
for
that
our
clearly,
children
right?
and grandchildren. A future where they feel optimism, hope and pride. And to realize that vision, we need to change our mindset. Now, politicians talk a lot about change. But the truth is, no government, no prime minister can change a country by force of will or diktat alone. Real change isn't provided, it's created. It's not given, it's demanded, not granted, but invented. The choices we make as individuals, as workers, business owners, parents, all add up to something far greater. And if we're honest, change also requires sacrifice and hard work.
Let's
It's
take
a
a
big
look
risk
at so many
for a
things in here.
politician to say that. But the stakes are too high and the rewards too great not to level with you. So change is hard. It takes time, but it is possible.
And this
we
is
know
something he
that
said around
because
the
we've
4th
done it
of
before.
January, I believe.
During
Some of the
COVID, we
pledges they
protected
made.
millions of people's jobs and businesses, a record I'm proud of. And we know it's possible because you can see change happening. You can feel it. Just look at our state schools, empowered by reform in some of the most deprived parts of the country, producing some of the best results. Those teachers and pupils work hard and make sacrifices because they know that what they are doing is bigger than themselves. They demand, inspire, and deliver excellence. And their ethos of excellence can become the animating spirit of our nation. Inspired by them, together we can change our country's character. We can reverse the creeping acceptance of a narrative of decline, reject pessimism and fatalism, refuse limits on our aspirations. And to do that, we need to have the imagination and confidence to do things differently and better. The vision to do today what is needed for tomorrow. In other words, we need to change the way our country works. That requires a change in mindset. What does that mean in practice? It means a more innovative economy, stronger communities and safer streets, a world-class education system, an NHS built around patients, and a society that truly values the family. In all these areas and more, we must have the courage to change, to think bigger, strive for excellence, not give up when things get tough. And if we can do that, then we really can build a better future. Thanks to the reforms we've introduced since 2010 and the hard work of so many excellent teachers, we've made incredible progress. But with the right plan, the right commitment to excellence, I cannot see any reason why we can't rival the best education systems in the world. To do that, yes, we'll need to fix the damage of COVID, especially for our youngest pupils. And yes, it will require more
So we
investment.
can see that some of the
Which is why
promises
just
they
a few
made
weeks
is
ago in the autumn
the
statement,
halving
we
inflation
provided
in
£2 billion of extra
getting
funding for
NHS
schools.
to be more up par
I am
in
now
terms of
making
standards of
numeracy
healthcare,
a
as
central
well as
objective of our
whether they form
education system.
education systems or stuff like
But
that,
that
right?
doesn't
So a lot
have
of
to
big
mean a
promises, a lot
compulsory
of
A-level
an
in maths
increase
for
in
everyone. But we will work with the
bettering the
sector
cost of
to
living
move
for
towards
people,
all children
because as you
studying
see right
some
here, they say
form of
actually the
maths
cost of
to
living
18.
has been the worst
Imagine
crisis for
what
decades,
greater
right?
numeracy will unlock for
Across
people.
the UK.
The skills
So that
to
is
feel
something
confidence
very
with your finances, to find the
these
best
things,
mortgage
if they
deal or
could
savings
actually
rate,
if
the
they could
ability
actually
to do your
deliver
job
on
better and
this,
get paid
would
more,
just help the
and
UK to
greater
actually skyrocket
self-confidence
in terms of
to
value.
navigate
So
a
that is something
changing
that I
world.
think is very interesting, and we'll see
Improving
whether or not
education
he's able to keep
is the
these promises
closest
that
thing
he's making
to a
here.
silver bullet
So
there is.
we'll see as
It's
the
the
year
best
continues
economic
on.
policy,
We'll
the
see
best
whether or
social
not this is
policy, the
something
best
that's
moral
possible.
policy.
But
And
using
that's
this,
why
we could
it's
actually
this
take
government's
in this
policy.
information, and let me just put this back. Right, I think that's good. Right, so I can put on more beats. Right, so using that we just now said, right, so we could take all that information in, and we could see going forward with the UK, these are some of the targeted goals that they'll have set for themselves, right? Which is cutting inflation. So maybe they might be more aggressive on the interest rates rising, right? So they might be more aggressive in increasing interest rates, as well as whatever they have to do in tightening the monetary policies to help curb that inflation rate level, right? As well as looking at the cost of living. So we could actually see more and more things being implemented to actually combat that, right? And improving the cost of living and stuff like that. So I would say we could use that as a foundation, really to see where the data goes with these news releases coming up, whether or not all of that will be delivered upon or not, right? So I guess something to take into consideration. So you could just not, note that down. And as we look at the UK news or the data that comes out, we'll see, okay, maybe, all right, we have inflation rate decreasing, maybe the interest rates might actually decrease, or maybe they might just leave it as the same because they don't feel the need to actually increase rates as yet or any further than it currently is, because it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? With that being said, the economy is improving, which is good, but how does that reflect on the pound itself, right? So that is something that you'll need to actually take into consideration and note as you trade and go along, especially when it comes to implementing the fundamental data itself to what you're trading, right? Yeah, so that's just something that you should take note of. I think that's something worth noting as well. If anybody have any questions, feel free to ask. We have 3 viewers, so much. Okay, so we're coming up to the candle close in 5 minutes. Again, I do have my my biases to the upside, right? I'm looking to see that swing to the upside. So maybe this may not happen on this candle, because as the candle is pushing bearishly, we could possibly fill out this range, right? This could be considered a possible range. Maybe price might actually fill out and continue down, right? That is a possibility. I'm not denying that, but I am expecting buy pressure to actually continue, right? Especially since we're coming off of that negativity from last week. I do think at this point we should see a turnaround and that possible correction to the upside. Excuse me. So yeah, if price does manage to actually continue pushing downwards, then it is what it is, and we just don't enter the trade. But at this point you could put your buy stops. I think, yeah, at this point you could put your buy stops here, right? So any stop loss. Stop losses around 43 pips. Alright, so buy stops, actually putting that into place now. High stop loss around 43 pips, looking to target above this here right here. Oh. And if price does fail to actually, if price does fail, you know, we get targeting into the trade, we get triggered into the trade, and price actually fails and comes back to the stop loss, then so be it. I'll actually give this trade two chances, right? So you can either half your risk or use 1% risk. It's up to you, depending on whatever your risk tolerance is. And yeah, so if we do get stopped out, then I'll actually look to give this a second chance against swinging to the upside. Right, so that is the trade that we're looking forward to, and I'll actually end it afterwards. After this, we'll see whether we get triggered in or not. I don't like to take too much of you guys' time, right? And I'll update you guys within the Discord and Telegram group whether or not this actually played out, what transpired from this trade, if I'm looking to exit maybe at break even, or just how to manage the trade itself. Right, so yeah, this is it. This is what we're waiting on to see. And for the previous video, what I said is I'm more interested in like the NZD yen, as well as the AUD, the Aussie yen as well. For the buy positions I'm looking to take on, right? Just because you should get a better movement or more yield from that, rather than looking at something like maybe CAD JPY or USD JPY right now. Just because, again, with the US dollar, heavy sell pressures, right? Not just that with sell pressures, but also, again, with the yen being strong currently, as we start losing steam from that yen strength and things start to improve slightly bit by bit, we will see that movement swing to the upside. However, with the bearishness facing the USD itself right now, right, you might see sort of like a lack of movement, or not as much as you will get from the other yen cross pairs. So that's something to pay note and pay attention to as well. Right, that is why therefore I took the trade on the AD JPY rather than the a USD JPY trade or CAD JPY, for instance. Right, it might move even better. I don't know, the markets could do whatever it wants, right? But in terms of like alpha analysis sake, what I have experienced, what I've seen time and time again, this seems like the more likelihood rather than entering a USD JPY trade right now. So yeah, to give you guys some context as to why is he taking the risk asset trades rather than USD JPY. Coming to a close just now. I used to. Okay, so in terms of using the fib tool, I used to, but now I'm just more confident with my, I'll say quote unquote naked price action trading. I'm just more confident in it, doing it as I see, looking at the levels, understanding the fundamentals and how price reacts, and yeah, I think it's something that happens over time once you gain more experience trading. So I don't use the fib tool anymore, but as a new trader, I would say that it could help you. It could help with your trading, and yeah, it could add value. It could add more confirmation to your trading as well. But for me, I don't think it's necessary for me to do anymore, right? So yeah, that's just from my standpoint. But yes, I did used to use it. I think it's very helpful as a tool for if you're now starting, you need to trade and you want some added confluence to your trading itself. Then yeah, I think it's something you could use. But with fundamental trading, I realized that a lot of the data itself could be kind of screwed, right? It could be kind of how to say, I'm looking for the right word to put it. Using the fib tool as a fundamental trader, somebody that looks at the fundamentals and analyze it to see how the markets react towards news or whatever the case is. I think they don't go hand to hand. They contradict each other a lot sometimes. All right, so that's part of the reason why I don't even use the fib anymore. But yeah, if you're new and you're looking at the technical trading and the technical aspect of trading and whatnot, then sure, yeah, the fib tool is very helpful. I would say that you could use it amongst any of the indicators, any of the any of the indicators tools that people use. I think the fib is like the easiest to understand and the easiest to implement, and probably the best to actually help you with your trading, rather than looking at something like the Bollinger Bands, the RSI. Kind of criticize himself because that is what I have here, Bollinger Bands and RSI. But this was at the time when I was trying to understand a mentor's, I wouldn't say a mentor, but another trader's a point of view of looking at the markets, right? I don't even think he uses this again either ways. So I just have it there because it makes the chart looks less boring than it seems, right? Because I mean, compared to just I like it as a decoration, so that's why I still have it here. I don't use it. I don't particularly watch this at all. I just have it as a decoration wise. But yeah, markets are just open for the London session, officially kicking off. We can see that price actually pushed even lower here. So on this candle, maybe we might get a continuation even lower, like I said previously. But however, the candle could actually close above this level here, right? So if you're looking to enter in this candle, I would say you're entering. You have to be aware of the inherent risk of entering as the session now starts, right? Because maybe this move down might just get corrected and the candle actually push higher up. We don't know as the market's now open. So we're gonna give this time to actually settle, see what it does, and on the next candle, then we'll know for sure whether maybe we're gonna see that continuation moving down, or maybe price is going to peek its head above here and continue moving back upwards, right? It's anybody's guess right now. If we take a look at the 4-hour, we can see that this is a pretty strong rejection level. By all means, as we had this bearish push below this area, we came and retested. This candle failed to keep that push above that area, that zone, marking it as our first sort of resistance area to look at, right? And then we have these other candles right here kind of rejecting from that area, right? So if price does manage to actually push above, then that just gives us more of a clearer confirmation that buyers are stepping in. We should see more likely than not price will continue moving upwards. That is if we get that close above. However, if price does actually maintain this push away from this area, then we could most likely target back down here before we actually look to see any move higher, right? So that's so that's something to pay attention to right now. All right, so yeah, for now I'm just gonna leave it as is. Buy stops in position. I also have this AD JPY trade running still, so we'll see how that pans out as well. And yeah, so I think that's it for me right now, guys. I don't like taking too much of you guys' time up here with the streams, especially since we don't have much going on, right? We still now started the month, the new trading year, so we're taking things slow, letting the markets just kind of consolidate, do its thing, and find its direction, find its movement. And we should continue to see moves start to become more apparent in the market, more volatility kick in, because as you know, it's now this is like the third week, right? So the third week of the month, but we're still in January, so things are still being decided, and probably during February month, we should see things actually kick up a little bit more. So that is it for me. See, now imagine you was that guy, right? Imagine you was that guy who saw price going down. Market's just open, price started going down. I need to enter to go and take this sell. He was wrong. You're just taking a big L. At this point, you've been so terrified that price is probably gonna stop you out that you actually exit the trade early, right? And that is just part of being a new trader. Sometimes you're just not confident in your own trade, and you have to be willing to hold your trade, right? Um, Especially in certain times when you look like price looks like it's gonna reverse on you. I think at that point you need one or two things. You need to know whether price is reversing it on you because of some fundamental factor or something is affecting or making price actually turn around, or is it because you lack confidence in your own trade, right? And if it's the latter, then you actually need to take a step back and look at your trading plan and strategy that you have for yourself, right? The one thing that you need to be aware of is the amount you're risking, and you need to be confident in that risk that you're taking, because sometimes you might actually stop out too early, or you might take the L, and it's because that L wasn't needed, right? It wasn't necessary for you to take that L, right? Such is the case as if any traders did enter this preemptively, looking to see price continue pushing to the downside without understanding the fundamentals affecting the movement itself, then you would have taken an L unnecessarily, right? So yeah, this is just lessons being told. I'm dropping Easter eggs here, guys. Come on, who doing it better than us here? um, but yeah, you've just been that unlucky guy. And that's such a sour way to start your day, right? Imagine you just took the trade looking for price to continue moving downwards, and then it just reversed on you, and now you're like, shit, you got stopped out. Now I need to make back from this loss. The day just started, the week now started. What's going on? Why God don't love me? And them kind of things just come into your mind. And you look to take another trade with a possibly even higher risk, and then end up outing yourself for like unnecessary. Say take two L's back to back, and now you're just having a pretty annoying, very sour day, right? Because you took the loss when you didn't have to initially, and then you take a second loss when you just was being greedy and trying to make back from that first loss, right? So yeah, so you push back into this zone. I think on this first 30-minute candle, I will actually go right here on this first 30-minute candle. We shouldn't reapproach back down. Alright, so you get triggered in. We shouldn't reapproach back down all the way back to the stop loss. However, if we do, I'll just look to put a next buy stop here, right? So we'll see how this candle close. Maybe we might get a continuation move all the way to TP. Yeah, but it's really nothing can be said with certainty, right? So we'll see. I would like to see this candle close up above this area here. If we could get that bullish close above this area, then I think more likely we should see a continuation with the next candle. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is the first candle may form as the markets open, the London session, the market open, right? It may form in one direction and then quickly get corrected on the next candle, right? So that's something you need to be aware of. But if we do manage to close bullishly above here, then we should see a continuation moving upwards. Alright, so I'm just gonna set my alert here. Right, we might get stopped out because price could be erratic sometimes. So I'm not trying to predict anything here. I'm just enter with my risk, how to be comfortable with the risk that I put, and let price do its thing, right? So we'll see how this plays out, whether we get wicked up. Maybe this candle might just push all the way back down bearishly, and we get a continuation even lower. Who knows, it could happen. But yeah, you just have to be comfortable with risk, your initial analysis, and let price do its thing. So this is it for me. Enter the trade. We'll see how it goes. If anybody have any questions, feel free to ask. Good morning. Good morning. Alright, actually, what are your favorite pairs to trade? Okay, I'm now looking at the questions here. So my favorite pairs to trade, I won't say that I particularly have any favorite pairs. I just do look at the charts, whatever I like, and look for possible setups when it agrees with my fundamentals and the technicals align with it to to a somewhat suitable level. Then I'll look to possibly enter a trade or do further analysis on that specific pair. But in terms of like pairs that my favorite forex pairs or anything like that, if I have to say, I would say I have a love and hate relationship with GJ. All right, and because even like just last week itself, right? This was a trade. This was a trade that I actually had up here, right? This trade right here, right? Price came into this to this level multiple times. I was like, okay, maybe if price actually looks to push even lower, then I'll look to get into the trade and continue moving down. So I had a sell stop here, and it came in, hitting once, rejected, and got stopped out. Then it did this ranging thing here, and then the night itself, I think this was the day before CPI, so this was like Wednesday night or somewhere. Yeah, I believe this was like Wednesday evening or something like that. After the session gap, right, when the Asian session opened, it pushed down. This was the push that it made. I was like, damn, should I enter the trade right now, or should I just leave it, let it do its own thing? Maybe it might just actually reject on the next candle and push even higher. I don't want to take the I don't want to take the risk on the unnecessary loss, right? I'm really trying to increase my risk management to be even more better or whatever the case is, right? And then price started pushing down, gradually continuing pushing down. And this would have been the point where I entered, right? Because I had a sell stop. I was going to enter with the next sell stop, right? So I would have gotten triggered into the trade and would have just continued moving on. And you can see it just continued, and continued. And this would have been 18 all the way to 22. I had a 2% risk on this too, that's the thing. So this would have been like 44%, right? So that's a bummer, but it happens. That's just, you have to take it as it is. So yeah, I have a love and hate relationship with GJ, but I'll say it's maybe if I have to pick a favorite pair, I'll say probably GJ. And the risk currency pairs itself, I like those as well. So that's looking at like 80 USD, 80 JPY, 80 CAD to some extent too as well, right? So I'll say that's about it. I don't really have much to say like in terms of like what pairs are your absolute favorite, anything like that. But yeah, I usually just look at the fundamentals, and if that aligns with the technicals that I do have set of it, then I'll look to do further analysis. Yeah, so it depends. It depends on the broker that you do use, right? So the thing to know with your broker is that they have different auction and bidding prices, right? So even though that I entered with, I set the buy stop being at the 156.8, sorry, 156, what was it? Right, 156.779, right? So even though that I have that, right, my broker that I use, the spreads are very low. I think the spreads on GJ is like probably between 1 and 2 right now, right? So it's not very high, right? It's almost close to having zero spreads. So with that being said, it depends on the broker that you do use. Sometimes the spreads could be pretty high, so you might get the price that you get into might be higher than what I say, right? But it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I did a markup on this. I did the markup on this, but I left the first thing that I had and I left was this resistance zone because price was basically ranging right around that area. But yeah, you could actually rewind on this live once it's posted and everything. You could actually go back and you can see from the beginning as we discussed everything. But yeah, moving further in the future, in the next London session that we have, I will do the chart markups and stuff as we continue moving on. I'll actually do more chart markups and things for you guys so that you could get a better idea of what it is that I do, what I look at, and stuff like that. Right? And yeah, so I think that's it. We'll look to see how this plays out. Now, the only thing is right now we are right here. Price has reached back into this area of where it initially rejected from. So that's something I like to pay attention to and just to note. But if this candle does close in the first 30 minutes, if we do close bullishly, I think on the next 30-minute candle, we should just continue moving higher up, right? So I'm just going to leave it as is. If it was just scalping or something, you could have taken profits at 10 pips. I don't know, but I don't do that. So I'm just gonna leave this. Let us do this thing. It might continue for the rest of the day, for the course of the day. We might actually have to take a whole day for price to play out, and we could actually get a reversal on the New York session open, right? So that's just something, you know, as the volume kick into the New York session, we may get a continuation if we don't get stopped out before that. We may get a continuation. That volume may add to the trade to continue pushing and propelling it forward even higher, or we might get a correction of this initial move and price comes further down, right? Because sellers at this point will want to maintain their positions, want to, you know, get more gains, looking at this as a retracement that actually look to enter more sell side continuations, which is something that could happen, right? So that's just something to note as well. And the thing is, with trading, there's 1,000,001 possibilities, guys. So you have to, you know, understand your bias, the probability that you set out for yourself, what you're looking for your trade to do, and just stick with it, see it through. And that is what we do here. I don't necessarily, you know, I do manage my trades, but I don't second guess myself. I try not to second guess myself, especially when it comes to, you know, trades I'm taking during the London session, as well as just in general, right? Because when you start doubting yourself, you leave room for errors by doing that, right? Because this is all about psychology as well, right? It all comes down to your mentality, and taking a loss, then you start feeling like, oh, well, maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe my strategy is wrong. When you take a loss and somebody else takes a win, and that could be detrimental. It could affect your overall mentality, but you shouldn't allow it, right? So yeah, that's just some me departing some wisdom to you guys. So that's it. I'll close it off here, guys. Thank you for joining in. I do appreciate you coming to the live stream as well. Hopefully this ends up in a win. I can let you guys walk away with something from this. And if not, then we learn. We learn to continuing on that we could better improve our strategy, whatever, you know, risk that we set on for ourselves. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is. Let us do its thing. And yeah. So if you haven't already, leave a like on the stream. It helps the channel out a lot. Reach more people, get the YouTube algorithm going, and get the video recommended out to people out there that may be looking for a live stream to join, as well as a Discord community. If you're not already subscribed, then please feel free to do so, as you'll get updated with, you know, notifications from when I do go live, if I forget to post it or anything like that. So yeah, you'll always be in the loop. So I thank you guys for your patronage. And yeah, that's about it. We'll end it here, and I'll just update you guys within the Telegram and the Discord group, as this isn't a VIP trade or anything like that, right? So I'll just update you guys as to what happens with the trade, whether we get stopped out, whether we should, you know, just cut our losses at break even, or whatever the case is, right? So thank you guys. I'll see you next one, and peace.